You jibber jab, bamboozle, nuka, noozle, bippity bop, she-call. You jibber jab, bamboozle, nuka, noozle, bippity bop, she-call. I mean, you keep on talking, but you don't know where to turn it off.
Welcome, I'm Jon Caldara, president of the Independence Institute. You're watching Independent Thinking. So I don't know if you noticed, but economic times are just terrific. It's the 80s all over again, isn't it? Well, to take a look at just how dismal it is and how it affects Colorado, a couple of guys in the news business who take a look on business from the Rocky Mountain News. Rob Rueteman, thank you for joining us.
Very welcome.
How long have you been at the Rocky?
I've been business editor for 11 years. I've been an editor at the Rocky for 26 years.
Have you always been doing business, or is this?
No, I was the city editor. I was the national editor. I was the state regional editor, an assistant city editor. Been around the block. Not sports.
Not sports.
Not entertainment yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Neil Westergaard from the Denver Business Journal. Glad to have you.
Thanks.
Denver Business Journal has been around how long?
It's been around since the late 40s. It was started by Gene Survey, who was a reporter at the Rocky many, many years ago. And we're the oldest weekly business journal in the country.
And is it all subscription?
Yeah.
All right, so you're not giving away free copies on corners?
No, as a matter of fact, we pride ourselves in that we don't give away any copies except for limited times, like 4 weeks or something like that. But it's all delivered by the U.S. mail and out of boxes, mostly downtown.
Let me ask you something about business reporting. I know political reporting and news reporting sides from newspapers pretty well. I've got a lot of friends who are reporters, and I kind of understand how that business works. The business side has always baffled me a bit in that I've always thought business reporting was more big business reporting, and that when those companies that can afford public information officers, have a good PR flack, they're the ones that you guys can report on. But most of the business in Colorado is small business. How is it? How do you keep your ear to the ground on that? And would you agree with me that when it comes to business, it seems like the big companies get reported on, other things don't always? What is business reporting?
I agree with you. I think business reporting is a lot more specialized, even than political reporting. But I would agree with you, with a public company that sells its shares to the public, there's a certain degree of transparency that gives us a lot more things to look at and a lot more things to report on. A private company or a small business is simply not the case. It's much harder. You also tend to see, at least in the Rocky, more big company reporting because we see it as being more impactful. Although, 80% of jobs are with companies that have 50 or fewer employees?
Yeah. I think that it is true with the dailies, that it's mostly big business reporting. It's not true of our papers. We have 40 business journals around the country in most of the major markets. And actually our focus is on the small and medium-sized business market, which, as you say, is growing not just here but all over the country much faster than the large employers. That's where most of the job creation is, and it's where most of the real innovation is. It's not where most of the investor dollars lie, the public invested dollars lie. So that's a big difference between the way we cover business and the way the dailies do.
There's also very much a trickle-down effect. I remember hearing a presentation by Intel before they shut down their Colorado Springs plant a couple of years ago. The woman said that the Intel plant in Colorado Springs actually had contracts with something like 487 small businesses along the Front Range. So, is there much investigating that goes on? I know on the news section, back when you guys actually could afford to have reporters, they would spend time doing investigations. Business side doesn't have as much investigation. It's not like are you trying to break a story, break a scoop, or are you just trying to report the business happenings?
Well, I think the bulk of the reporting is trying to keep people informed about what's going on in the business community. But that doesn't mean that we don't do investigative stories, either one of us. I mean, stories that we've done in the Business Journal over the past couple of years, and I think we were ahead on the Will Hoover story. He's doing 100 years in the state penitentiary for an investment scandal. We also, our original reporting prompted an investigation by state authorities into a real estate scheme by a company named Mile High Capital Group and Frederick Dreyer. So we do the investigative stuff, when it's warranted, but most of the time we're just reporting what's going on.
I think you're right. I think with staff reductions we've all seen in the last 2 or 3 years, it's tougher, and you've got to be more innovative in doing it, and you've got to try harder. With each of my reporters, I always try to have them have something on their back burner that they're working on, gathering string on, however you phrase it, and they may pop it out in 6 months, it may take 9 months. Above and beyond that, if there are stories of a business nature that John Temple, the editor, decides is worthy of bigger investigation, our Beyond the Boom package, which we did about a year ago on the oil and gas explosion on the western slope in Colorado, we decided that's something that was worth doing for the entire paper, and we took half a dozen or so reporters, 2 of mine, and just took them away for 6 months and produced a
And now,
package.
because you have so much more money, you're doing a lot more of those things. Actually, before we talk about the business of Colorado, let's take a real quick detour. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. But the business of business papers and papers in general, it's got to be tough right now with the confusion over the future of the Rocky Mountain News, and we're all concerned about that. I would imagine even as a competitor to the Rocky Mountain News, you don't want to see another paper in trouble, I'm assuming. Or is this a time where you're going,
well, no,
Rocky's going away, my circulation is going to go up?
I mean, I have a lot of friends that work at the Rocky Mountain News, and it's very sad to see it go. I will say, I think from our perspective, I think the Rocky had the better business section, certainly the more prominent business section, and it going away, it's an opportunity for us in the market. There's no question about it. As sad as it is to see it go, because I think for all of the other things that a daily paper brings and competitive dailies bring to a community, it's very sad. But sure, there's some opportunity for us.
The way he's talking like you've already been written up in the obituary section.
Well, to get back to your original question, we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years major metropolitan areas in the U.S. struggling to support one paper, or one paper struggling in major metropolitan papers. Frankly, I've been watching for years, waiting for this foot to fall. How can Denver, not one of the biggest cities in the country, support 2 newspapers as fully as Denver has up until recently? And I wasn't terribly shocked when the other foot fell. It's awfully tough. I believe that 2009 will be a worse year. When the owners of the Rocky announced it for sale December 4th, they said they projected a $15 million loss in 2008, and they project a nearly $25 million loss in
but you're going to
2009.
You're going to get some bailout money, I understand. So you'll be fine.
Everybody else is getting bailout money. The thought certainly has crossed everyone's mind in the last, maybe that'll be Obama's Colorado payoff. I don't know.
All right. I tell you what, let's talk about Colorado and talk about Colorado business, which is what you guys follow. We're seeing what I think we could call full-on recession here in the United States. How is what's going on in Denver different? It seems to me, and I've lived almost all my life here in Colorado, it seems as though Colorado has traditionally lagged behind the nation. While the nation was going up in the 80s, we were still suffering the oil bust. When there's a recession nationally, quite often that lags here, and we seem to have done well. What's the state of the economy here in the state of Colorado?